I don't want to work with white people. I don't. I've had people tell me I shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Another day, another crazy person bragging on TikTok about potential legal and ethical violations. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, your home for independent takes and perspectives on politics, media, internet culture, and more. Guys, what a wild ride we have in store for this video because the algorithm serves this up to me. These crazy people, particularly therapists for whatever reason, just absolute crazy town people become therapists and then publicly brag about their craziness on the internet. And I came across this therapist and influencer he does both, I guess. But he's an active therapist, and he thinks he's some like social justice progressive, but is apparently just like a close-minded anti-white bigot, publicly bragging about how he doesn't want white people as clients. Which is potentially illegal and definitely unethical and just absolutely insane ramblings that we're going to react to. Here he is, a little bit of information about him. His name is Shehem McLaurin, and he has 353,000 Instagram followers. He's an EMDR therapist, which means he's a trauma therapist and a licensed social worker in New York City, where actually, ironically, guys, I happen to be. I'm going on CNN tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, July 8th. Tune in. I'll be on the debate panel, but regardless, not great. And the more you look into him, the crazier the details about his practice actually are. And honestly, he probably needs to be reported to some sort of licensing board at this point with the stuff he's saying. Let's watch his first video that got a lot of traction online because he just talked about how he doesn't want white people as clients because they're bad. I'm really not caricaturing him. Let's watch.
This will probably get me dragged as a mental health provider. But I don't want to work with white people. I don't. I've had people tell me I shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm going to say it anyway because
I'm probably going to get dragged for saying this as a licensed mental health professional. Yeah, as you should. Imagine how you would feel about a white therapist setting up their phone stand and fixing their mouth to say, I just really don't want to work with black people. We would all be like, that's racist. That's unacceptable. And yeah, even if that's what's in your heart, I mean, you should probably not be practicing as a therapist, but of course it's not going to go over well because you are publicly admitting to potentially illegal behavior and undoubtedly unethical behavior that directly contravenes the ethical standards and practices of your profession. And we'll go into the details on that. So yeah, actually admitting that isn't going to go over well with people because some people still have an ounce of common sense. And what else did you expect? I I have no sympathy for people who know they're going to say something that will get backlash. And then, as you'll see in his follow-up video, it's like, oh boy, people are so mad at me. It's like, that's what you wanted. We all know it. So you got the attention you ordered. We're here and we're ready to read you for filth because you're a crazy person and should not be a mental health professional. And you seem racist, which is not cool in any direction. All right, we'll keep going here, unfortunately.
because I think talking about it is super important. I don't want to work with white people. I don't. Every time, not every time, I'm not going to say every time, but a great deal of times where I've worked with white people throughout my career, they, especially white women, no shade, like weaponize like tears. They weaponize these things. And this is a thing that has been throughout history. Long before me, white women tears and the rage of white men. I don't really work with white men very often, but like white women tears have been used to harm people who look like me, and it shows up in the therapeutic process. I've had
Stop. Oh my God. This is an insane thing to admit because, listen, I understand the point historically that there were certainly instances where white women cried false accusations against black men, or I'm not even discounting that, but applying that to this context of modern therapy sessions is insane. What do you mean? They're endangering or they're using white tears against me. It's a therapy session. That's where they're supposed to be. Yes, even as white women, which apparently is like, to him, which is insane to feel that way about any demographic group of people, except non-binary people. That's a valid way to feel about them. even that's a joke, okay? Because it turns out, in the least surprising twist of all time, this dude's a non-binary. Anyway, yeah, they're supposed to be able to cry in their therapist's office. That's like the one place they're supposed to be safe to express their emotions and feel their feelings, even and not be told that makes them bad or racist or manipulative, let alone have that then publicly exposed and lambasted by the therapist they trusted in and confided in and paid. Like, imagine being one of the white women that had seen this licensed social worker, this therapist, and then you see him ranting about how he hates people like you and doesn't want them as clients and hates that he was subjected to their tears. It's disgusting. It's like such a clear violation of your professional responsibility and ethics, but you're just doing it for TikTok clout or whatever. It's insane. And we're going to go into the details as well about the practice that he set up, and some of it's astonishing. Anyway, we'll keep going here.
So many white people I've worked with treat me like a servant and use me as a receptacle to alleviate them from the guilt of being white, which I do not participate in. So it just makes the therapeutic process awkward. And then the tears come and it's like trying to make me feel guilty for it, like not wanting to participate in that because I'm not a like magical Negro who can wave a wand and make all of your white guilt go away. I would prefer not to do that because I have such a specific skill set that can be utilized to help people really navigate trauma. And when I'm working with black and brown people, it's easier. No shade. I find that people who are white and queer have a different, like, they're a little better. But all of that to say, like, yeah, I do not wish to work with white people anymore throughout the rest of my career. And if I get whacked, I get whacked.
Well, I don't want him whacked if he means like physical harm coming to him. I certainly don't support that in any situation. But this is definitely potentially illegal, right? It is illegal to discriminate in federal and many state laws and practicing regulations to discriminate against clients and customers on the basis of their race as a therapist. And you're pretty openly saying that you're doing that. If a person pronounced that they don't want black people to come into their store, yeah, we'd be like, oh, that's evil, and people would boycott that company, rightfully so. And two, it would almost certainly be investigated as a civil rights violation, like violating anti-discrimination laws. There's really no principle here that's different, and his practice should be investigated, honestly. And what makes this so funny is that when you go to his actual practice and you look at it, they call themselves the Freedom Collective Therapy. That's the name of the group. And here's from their description. Freedom Collective Therapy was founded in 2025 on a simple but radical conviction that healing belongs to everyone. Everyone except white people, I guess. Like it's exponentially more diabolical. I mean, it's anyway, but it's exponentially more diabolical to fix your mouth to say something like this publicly when you have that as your founding mission, that healing should belong to everyone. I mean, you're literally signaling publicly to white women who've experienced trauma not to come to you as an experienced trauma therapist because healing is not for them because you don't want to deal with their white tears. So you are directly contradicting the founding statement of your practice. That's terrible. That's deeply hypocritical at the bare minimum. And well, the more you look into this, the less surprising it is. Here's his bio. Shehem McLaurin, licensed social worker. Shehem is a black queer therapist stationed in Brooklyn, New York. Shehem earned his master's. He's non-binary, is not real. And of course, a person this indoctrinated in toxic identity ideology would believe otherwise. Anyway, he mastered in social work from NYU's Silver School of Social Work, and he has 2 bachelor's degrees in political science and women's and gender studies at Towson University, centering positionality in a capitalist, white supremacist, patriarchal society. Shehem assists marginalized, patriarchy-impacted people in coping with the stress and trauma of it all. Oh my God. Exhausting. The number of buzzwords but how crazy is it that he has a degree in women's studies and says he wants to help people affected by the patriarchy, but also is publicly announcing he doesn't want white women as clients? I can't be the only one who sees a contradiction there. then again, this is all just contradictions. However, he did, of course, receive a significant amount of backlash for this, even on TikTok, where people are overwhelmingly left-leaning. They're not that insane that they quite think this is acceptable behavior. So naturally, he apologized. He took accountability. He clarified that his practice is open to white people. He's not going to violate gotcha. Y'all thought. No, he doubled down on it. Let's watch his second video that he uploaded addressing the haters and backlash he's been getting. All right, let's watch.
Oh my God, a bunch of white women are upset that I said I don't want to work with white people as a black therapist. You're not entitled to my work. You're not.
Okay, I mean, that's not a defense of discrimination. It's true, like no individual is entitled to your work. But if a business announced we won't be accepting black customers, you wouldn't defend that by saying, well, no one's entitled to their work. Sure, no individual is, but under our system of laws and just kind of basic ethics, they are entitled as groups of people to not be categorically excluded from public services. We have decided that as a society, both on a legal and moral principle, and I think that's generally good and generally understood. So this isn't really a defense of you, my dude, my non-binary, they, them. But go off, I guess. Double down.
I don't know how else to tell y'all this, but I don't have to work with y'all. I'm not your servant. It's not like I'm like some general store. I'm an individual who chooses who I work with. There are clients who I don't fit with at all, who are black.
Okay, so if a business announced no black customers, no black employees, no gay customers, nothing, I'm an individual. If you know, like a solo entrepreneur announced that, I'm an individual. I don't have to work with anyone I don't want to. Clearly, that's not the case, and clearly, that's not a defense of that. Like, is this all going over his head? I don't get it.
I don't fit or mesh with everybody. And if I don't want to do the labor of working with someone who is going to require for me to be a receptacle for their racism, I don't have to do it. Y'all are so entitled.
Oh my God, we're entitled. As he's the one who thinks it's okay to get up on TikTok and publicly brag about violating the ethical principles of his organization, of his profession, as laid out by, let me see, I pulled the groups here that have policies he's explicitly bragging about violating. The National Association of Social Workers and the American Counseling Association both have principles that say that therapists and counselors should never discriminate on the basis of race. And he said, it's just, he's incredibly audacious. And yet he's saying, we're entitled, but he feels that he's entitled to publicly brag about flouting laws and ethical guidelines and discrimination. And then he's assuming that any white person who was his client would force him to deal with their racism or something. That's not the case. Lots of them would probably want help with unrelated trauma and aren't actually racist, but I'm sure he just thinks all white people are racist. When actually the ironic part about that is he's literally racist against white people, clearly, and yet he's throwing that around at other people. Gosh, there have to be consequences for people like this. I don't think it's canceling to like say that if you publicly post on a video on social media as a licensed mental health professional that seemingly violates both laws and professional and ethical guidelines, that your license should be investigated, actually. Like, you probably shouldn't be allowed to work as a social worker if you publicly brag about breaking the ethical boundaries and principles of social workers and possibly laws. Does that make me like a cancel culture person? I really don't think it does. I don't think it does. Anyway, I'll just let him yap here a little bit, run the end of this video.
Entitled. Y'all think that y'all are owed everything, that you cannot even respect someone who is saying, I don't want to do that as a black person. How rare is it that a black clinician exists is already bad enough, but a black male queer clinician? Why the would I waste my time and resource and my expertise on people who have like 80%, 90% of the field that looks like them? Please, go to hell. What's wrong with y'all? Like, why are y'all so entitled? And if you think that it's unethical for me to say I would rather spend my time working with my people who are barely represented in this field, then that says a lot about why I would not want to work with you. Beyond that, let me just say, if this field requires for me to work with you because you feel entitled to me, I don't want to be in it. I'll leave. I can find anything else to do.
Okay.
I don't think y'all understand. Like, y'all are not, the world does not revolve around y'all. The sun does not rise out your mouth set in between your cheeks. Please move on with your life.
Wow. He's quite something. But I feel like we can end this video on a point of agreement. He says, if my field requires me to work with people like you, which he means white people or people who don't believe in racial discrimination, then I don't want to be in the field. Okay, your terms are acceptable. Quit it then. Stop being a licensed social worker, stop being a therapist, or have your license taken away is what really should happen here. And I just can't have any sympathy for these people who publicly brag about things they're not supposed to be doing, and then, what a surprise, sometimes face consequences for doing things they're not supposed to be doing. It's like when you see people brag about how they shoplifted from Target or whatever, and then they find out, oh, I'm banned from Target. Okay, that's what you deserve. You bragged about this. Now here's the attention that you ordered. And there's something insane and gaslighting about this person being like accusing us of being entitled or whatever when he is one of the most entitled and obnoxious human beings I've ever had the misfortune to lay eyes upon. But other than that, he's doing amazing. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe before you hit the like button. Do consider becoming a channel member to support my work. I call out insanity wherever it is on the political spectrum, whether it's the far left, the far right, what have you. And unfortunately, that is not the best business model. So I do need support from viewers like you. Hit the join button with the link in the description to become a channel member to support my content. And you will also, I do videos where I answer my member comments and questions as well. So if you have something you want to give me in terms of feedback or questions you want to ask me, just become a channel member and then drop them down in the comments section below. And with that, guys, thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk again real soon.